action. Welcome to episode 14 of the Minisodes of the Founder Diaries. Thank you so much for being here. And just before you get into the episode, please make sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening or watching to this on. It's available on YouTube and all other audio podcast platforms. Today's episode, I want to talk about a book that I listened to many years ago, and I can't stop yapping about it. Anybody that knows me has probably heard about this book, and I really wanted to do a specific episode on this because it's such an impactful book, and I wanted to just spread the message. So this is the one book that I think every entrepreneur must read. I have an older brother. He's about 10 years older than me, and I remember he used to keep telling me about this man called Napoleon Hill, and I was like, who is that? Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. Since he's 10 years older than me, I think I was probably around 18, 19 when he started first telling me about this person. I couldn't care less. But I don't know what brought me back to his books now years later. I think it was probably 2022. And I was like, oh my goodness, this was urgent. Why were you not more like pushing me to actually listen to this book? Because I think about so many things could be different if I had listened to his work a lot earlier. But the book, as you deduce by now, is by Napoleon Hill, and it is called Outwitting the Devil. And I actually listened to the audiobook, and I'd highly encourage that you listen to it first if you've never interacted with the book. They just kind of enact it in a way that's very theatrical, so it makes it a lot more engaging and fun to listen to. And it was during a time that I was really struggling with direction that I ended up picking up this book, and I thought the business was doing well, and I didn't really have a sense of like direction, like what's next, what am I supposed to do, what's the next thing, and I kind of felt a little bit stuck. And this book changed everything. And I highly attribute some of the habits and the mindset that I have now to this book. I listen to it every so often. It's not a book that you read or listen to once. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it and kind of the segments that you get from it. So the title is a little bit provocative, and so are some of the themes in this book. I'll just warn you. And in fact, this book was published many decades after Napoleon Hill died, because his foundation they were a bit conservative about releasing the book because some of the things that he says in the book that are a bit controversial. But eventually they did release it. But I'd like you to think of this book more as a mindset and a psychology manual. So just a quick summary. It is kind of framed as a conversation between Napoleon and the devil, not a literal devil, but a symbol of fear, distraction, self-sabotage, and mental conditioning. The devil reveals the ways that he controls 98% of people through fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of loss of love, indecision, overthinking, distraction, lack of purpose, and drifting. And drifting he defines as living without any intentional direction. Hill positions the human mind as a battleground between discipline and drift. And the book's central message is control your mind or something else will. Some key concepts and how they apply to us as founders. Number one is drifting versus not drifting. And he uses this term in the book a lot. And a drifter is somebody who's simply reactive, easily influenced, lacks direction, and moves randomly, while a non-drifter is intentional, calm, purposeful, and hard to sway. So drifters will build businesses without clear positioning. They'll chase trends, while a non-drifter will choose a direction and commit. Non-drifters, on the other hand, will set priorities and stick to them, while drifters run busy companies. Non-drifters run focused ones. Second, fear as a tool of control. The devil says fear is his number one weapon. And some of the ways that fear shows up in how we're running our businesses is fear of poverty will lead you to underprice. Fear of criticism will lead you to overthink. Fear of failure will lead you to playing small. Fear of rejection will make you avoid selling or getting out of your comfort zone. And fear of the loss of love will lead to people pleasing in leadership, in your customers, in all the interactions and relationships that you have around you as a business. Fear is what stops us founders from making necessary changes, raising prices, firing bad hires, saying no, pivoting or innovating, or making any choices that we perceive are going to be painful. But entrepreneurs who master fear will win faster. Fourth, the importance of definiteness of purpose. So Napoleon Hill argues that a very clear purpose will make you unownable. And as founders, it's really important that you uncover and take time to understand and clearly articulate what is your definiteness of purpose. And I think it's either in this book or in Think and Grow Rich, he actually has an activity where he tells you to do this every single day. and it can be in the morning, in the middle of the day, or whenever, asks you to write down on a piece of paper what is your definite purpose and how do you plan on achieving that. Especially for somebody who struggles with setting goals and you're just not sure what kind of goals to set, this is a really good place to start from, because it then helps you to see, what do I need to do every single day to get me closer to my definiteness of purpose, which will then be attached to what your bigger goal is. So, for example, if my definite purpose is to influence 1 million women in the world to build big businesses or build impactful businesses, that will then guide my day to day of how I'm supposed to be spending my time to help me get there, and also just give me a sense of direction of where am I investing my time, my energy, and my resources to help me get there. The fourth one, and this is my favorite one, hypnotic rhythm. Small daily habits become automatic behaviors, whether good or bad. You'll notice if for a week in a row you get home, you're still in the car, you take out your phone and you scroll on TikTok. Tomorrow you start doing it like almost out of habit, like you've not even thought about it. And then by the time it's Friday, it's been 2 hours, you've been sitting in the car scrolling on TikTok, and at no point did you make a conscious decision to do any of this. Habits is kind of how our bodies do things to help us conserve energy, because then it doesn't require us to make decisions. So whatever things you do often, your body starts to understand, okay, Yvonne likes to be able to do this and this and this and this. And so when I'm doing them, I won't be making a conscious decision, and then it becomes a habit. So you want to use this to your, to your betterment, to influence you now on good behaviors or good habits. So as founders, if you avoid hard conversations, you become a founder who avoids hard conversations. This then becomes your reflex, or what you instinctively become to do. If you choose excuses over action, it becomes your rhythm. If you choose consistency in marketing, operations, reviews, growth, it becomes automatic. If you choose consistency, if you choose habits, or in terms of making sure that you're always following up on what needs to be done, that then becomes your rhythm. And maybe the first couple of days, it feels a little bit difficult to follow up with this person on this and on this. But then by the time you keep doing it, you're kind of building this muscle. Next, the environment is a shaper of your destiny. Napoleon says that your environment programs your mind. So if you keep toxic friends, you will shrink. If you keep dreamers around you, you will stretch. If you keep incompetent team members, you become a micromanager. If you keep high performance people, you level up. So environment is a strategy, and it's important that you really pay attention to who is around you. And in the book, he talks about how you're going to be influenced by the energy that is around you. And more often than not, it's a lot easier to be influenced by negative energy. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you are with someone, maybe for like a week, who, for example, I'm a morning person. If I happen to be around someone for a week who wakes up at 10 a.m., not that it's a bad thing, but like I'm a morning person, they wake up at 10 a.m., maybe the first thing they do is scroll on TikTok, and then they have a carby breakfast, and then they don't exercise, they then sit on the couch and watch TV for the rest of the day, while I have the opposite habits. Chances are at the end of the week, I will be more likely to have been influenced to their habits versus the other way around. So you want to be really careful around that. Some iconic quotes from the book that I really enjoyed. 1, the man who drifts must accept whatever life hands him. 2, fear is man's greatest enemy. 3, every failure brings with it the seed of equivalent success. And I really love that quote. And actually, during that time, I was really going through it in my business. And I would keep reminding myself, all of this struggle that surrounds me, there is equal opportunity that lies within the struggle. And it's my job to try and keep pinpointing this problem and seeing where does the opportunity lie and where can I then take advantage of it. Number 4, your only limitation is the one that you set up in your own mind. 5, people who are not guided by a definite purpose are easy to influence. On wrapping up, this book isn't about a devil. It's about the battle inside of your mind. Fear versus discipline. Fear versus courage. Distraction versus purpose. If you want to grow your company, if you want to grow yourself, you must first master yourself. And this book is a perfect blueprint for that. If you read nothing else this year, I'd highly recommend that you read this book. If you have read this book, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and please pick it up. I'm sure it's available on most platforms. And as I said, I highly recommend that you listen to the audiobook first and then grab the physical copy so that you can highlight this and read this book every so often, at least once a year. And I promise you, you will definitely see a difference. This has been the Minisodes of Founder Diaries. Thank you so much for tuning in. Catch you on the next one. Bye. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Beauty Square KE. Beauty Square was my first full-blown business and the brand that pulled me into entrepreneurship and shaped so much of what I share here. In many ways, this podcast is an ode to that journey, the lessons, the growth, and the courage to start before everything was figured out. At Beauty Square, we're passionate about helping everyone become a skin expert, offering authentic products from TikTok favorites to proven solutions for acne, dark spots, and more, with a team ready to guide you through all the right choices. Visit us at our CBD or Lavington branches for expert treatments like facials, waxing, body scrubs, and massages from our sister brand Sage. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at beautysquare.ke and at Sage Skin spelled SAGESKNN. And thank you for tuning in.